Hello, everyone, and happy Football Sunday. Look, it feels good to make it to another great day of football action. I'd like to welcome you into the Money Down, presented by BetPrep, right here on the Draft Network's YouTube channel. As always, I'm your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, back with the Draft Network's very own Jamie Eisner and Brentley Wiseman. Each week, we join you all to give you betting advice, tips, and trends to hopefully help you all secure that bag. Jamie and Brentley, are you ready for week 6 of NFL action?
I'm ready to get to talk again. Due to technical difficulties, I was not. I was on like the first 5 seconds of the Money Down NFL edition last week and didn't get to share really any of my research or picks. So I'm just excited to be back on with you both, and hopefully we'll keep the winners going, right, Brentley?
Yeah, Jamie. Glad to have you back. We missed you last weekend, but maybe you being gone was my good luck charm because I finally got some bets right. Had a good week, so hopefully I can keep it going.
That's very true, Brentley. I don't know. You might need to make Jamie disappear again so you can get more good luck coming your way.
It was all
No,
part
I'm
of
just
my
kidding,
plan.
We love you, Jamie. We love you. We're just joking. We are glad to have you back, right? The Three Amigos, the Three Stooges, everything comes better in threes. And with that, let's kick off some NFL action. Let's start it off with the Seahawks and Steelers. They're meeting for just the 4th time since 2010. Before the season, both these teams had high expectations of contending for a playoff spot. In this matchup, Seattle will turn to backup quarterback Geno Smith, the name that we're getting used to saying now, to start as the Seahawks lost quarterback Russell Wilson to a right middle finger injury that required surgery, placing him on IR along with Chris Kaysen. The Steelers are 5-point favorites. The total is 42.5. Does Big Ben still have enough gas left in the tank to pull off the win? Let's start with you, Jamie, because I'm loving hearing you talk again.
Oh, that's so nice of you. But look, I think he has enough gas in the tank because Seattle's defense is horrible. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now. They're on another historically bad pace to begin the season. I know the Steelers are going to be without Juju Smith-Schuster, but Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool will be more than enough, along with Najee Harris, to be able to put up some points in this game. I do think this game is going to be in doubt heading into the fourth quarter, but the Steelers in prime time have been really, really good, and the Steelers have been very good at home. 12-4 at home overall, straight up in their last 16 games. That defense is stifling. And to me, the biggest difference in this game, it's not even the quarterbacks necessarily. It's you have one defense that has a chance to be elite and one defense that has a chance to be the exact opposite. Give me the Steelers and their defense at home. Their offense should be able to put up enough points. I'm going to take the Steelers to win and cover here on Sunday Night Football.
Thank you, Jamie. Believing in that Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And yes, when they're at home, it's hard. Those terrible towels waving, the fans are back. The Seahawks will be in for a treat. Brentley, what about you? Does Big Ben, does he still have anything left to give us?
That's a good question. I'm really not sure that answer, but look, no Russell Wilson, no Chris Carson, no chance for the Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks, really for the past 5 years, have been not a good football team outside of Russell Wilson. The roster has a lot of holes that, due to Russell Wilson's magnificence and his magic, has been covered up. The offensive line has never been good. The defense has really, since the Legion of Boom, have been slowly degressing. They don't get a lot of pressure. Their secondary's banged up. And again, they've been able to win games solely because of Russell Wilson. Without him, I don't think this team is any good. Geno Smith, who looked pretty good coming in for the Rams in Thursday Night Football last week, you're expecting him to go into Heinz Field on the road, primetime game against TJ Watt, Melvin Ingram, Joe Hayden, with a week to game plan? I don't see this happening. I think the Steelers offense finally looked pretty good last week against Denver. They put up nearly 400 total yards. Jamie mentioned it. Seattle's defense is literally the worst defense in the league. They're giving up the most yards per game. I think the Steelers blow the Seahawks out. And I like Geno. He's a great guy. Love him. But this is going to be ugly.
Yeah, sometimes nice guys, they don't win. Sometimes they do finish last, and it sounds like that's exactly what Brentley is saying. And for my pick look, I'm looking at the look-align head for this game that had a total of 48, but the current line is now 5.5 points lower. That's just too much of an adjustment for me. So I'm going to take the over at 42.5 for my pick for this game. All right, fellas, so we got the first game down. Let's head over to the next one. The Chicago Bears hosting the Green Bay Packers at Soldier Field, where they will be looking to take the lead in the NFC North. The Packers are 6-point favorites with a total of 44. The Bears have won 2 straight games, but the Bears, who are ready without starting running back David Montgomery, have also placed running back Damian Williams on COVID-19 reserve list. And also they're taking on, look, the 3-time MVP for the NFL and Aaron Rodgers, who has dominated the Bears over the past decade. Will that domination continue today? Let's start with you on this one, Brintley.
Yeah, it truly has been a domination. Green Bay has won 19 of the last 22 meetings, including the playoffs. And the Packers are 21-5 against Chicago in games where Rodgers has started. So truly, this has been a one-sided affair. That being said, the Bears are playing some pretty good football, and really it's because of their defense. They lead the league in sacks. They lead the league in pressures. Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn are playing phenomenal football. And here's a stat for you that's really going to surprise you guys. Out of all quarterbacks with at least 30 or so dropbacks, Rodgers is ranked dead last in passer rating when pressured. So when teams are able to get pressure on Rodgers, it's really affecting him. So I actually think Chicago is going to get Rodgers off his spot. They're not going to score as many points as you might think. And then the defense without Jair Alexander, without Za'Darius Smith, is going to be susceptible to some big plays. I do think this is the week where we see Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney get home. So I like the Bears getting +6 at home here, guys.
All right, Brintley, with the convincing argument. Jamie, was that enough to convince you to agree with with Brintley? Are you going another way?
Well, I'll agree with the first half of his argument, which is why he completely laid out why the Packers are going to win this game because of their history. Look, this is a tough one, and I agree with Brintley. This line is probably a little too high. This line implies that on a neutral field, the Packers would be 9-point favorites, and I think that's a little rich for me. But if I'm on the fence, I'm going to err with the side of the team I believe is going to win to cover, and that's what I'm doing here with the Packers to cover the 6-point spread. Here's how I look at this game. The Bears are going to get some pressure, and that is going to be a factor, but they don't have anybody on the roster that can cover Davante Adams. They don't have anybody on the roster I trust against Aaron Jones coming out of the backfield as a receiver. We've seen A.J. Dillon get more involved in the running game. I just think the Packers have too many weapons. Aaron Rodgers has been utterly dominant against Chicago. 8-2 against the spread the Packers have been in the last 10 games in Soldier Field. I mean, that is some pretty interesting trends there, and they all lean toward the Packers. It's tough for me. They've been screaming bear down outside of my window since about 6 in the morning, but I do not think the winning streak continues here in Chicago.
Keep up the bear down chants outside of Jamie's window, just so you can rub it in his face in case he's wrong, you all. But for my pick, I'm looking at the total in this game. It dropped from a point from the opener from 46 to 44. Sharp money is continuing to drive the movement. So I like the under in this game. So give me under 44 for my pick for this game. This next one I'm excited to talk about because it's in my neck of the woods. And at the beginning of this season, you all, who would have thought the Kansas City Chiefs and the Washington football team would enter this game with an identical record? Some are saying the Chiefs are done and finished, where others are still believing in KC still as a Super Bowl contender. The Chiefs are looking to get on track when they face the Washington football team here in D.C. The Chiefs right now are 7-point favorites. The total is 54. Two struggling defenses squaring up in this one, where it will be an emotional day for Washington fans, where one of the football team's most iconic players, the late, great Sean Taylor, will be getting his number retired today. Which offense will come out on top? Let's start with you for this one, Brintley.
So this is a tough game, because I did want to pick the Chiefs, but I think, that line 6.5, that's kind of a lot. And the Chiefs they never cover. Jamie says it every week. The Chiefs never cover the spread. So, okay, I could go with Washington, but then you're asking me to pick Taylor Heinicke over Mahomes. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to go with the point total. I'm going under here. 54 points. That's a lot of points. So I'm supposed to believe that both teams are going to score over 27 points, and I get it. These defenses are both terrible. I think both are ranked dead last or in bottom 3 in defensive success rate and touchdowns allowed per game. So I get it. There's going to be some points. But both offenses are banged up. Terry McLaurin isn't fully healthy. Antonio Gibson isn't fully healthy. Tyreek Hill isn't fully healthy. Clyde Edwards-Helaire's out. Joe Thuney's out. I do think both of these defenses are hearing the outside noise. They know the disrespect. I think they're going to come in, play angry. They're going to make some stops. I like the under here simply because this number to me is just too high.
All right. Thank you, Brentley. And look, if defense wins championships, neither of these teams will be winning a championship. As you said, dead last. All right, let's go over to you, Jamie, for your pick.
It's funny, 6 weeks ago, somebody might have said this was a Super Bowl preview, and all of a sudden, these are two teams fighting to just get back to 500 this week. So sometimes you just have to go with a feeling. Like, I don't have the numbers to back this up. Brentley's absolutely right. The Chiefs don't cover. They're 1-4 against the spread this year. But by the way, Washington doesn't cover either. So to me, I'm looking at this Kansas City Chiefs team as this is a gut check game. Like, you are below 500 now. There's a ton of noise. Everybody's talking about like the Tyrann Mathieu reaction to Sorensen giving up plays. And we're hearing all these things about Patrick Mahomes being too cute with the no-look passes. Like, there's some actual noise and concern around the Chiefs right now that really hasn't existed in the Patrick Mahomes era. And to me, the one player of all the injuries that Brentley listed, there's one player that I know is fully healthy, and that's Patrick Mahomes. And if I'm going to bet on somebody in this game, I'm going to bet on the best quarterback in football to have a statement game when he absolutely needs to have it the most against a vulnerable defense here. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to win and cover here. I like that it's still under a touchdown. I don't feel great because the Chiefs never, ever, ever seem to cover. But if this was the Chiefs team of old, this spread's 9.5 or 10. So I think their struggles are actually baked into this, which will actually help them cover in this game.
All right. Thank you, Jamie. And Patrick Mahomes, Jamie is trusting. And for my pick, look, it would be one thing to say that the football team has been a disappointment this season, but no one would have thought that the Chiefs would be below 500 going into week 6. Just no one. I don't care what you say. So, but this is where we are. It's just the reality. And with that being said, I'm looking at the Chiefs. They should hammer Washington this week. I'm sorry, DC, to say that, but I'm going to lay the points with Kansas City and bet the over. I will make over the official play. So give me over 54. All right, fellas, I know the competition is on, right? I'm looking forward to this.
It always happens. Me and Kelsey go against each other at least one game per week, and normally I always lose, so it doesn't look good.
And I hope that continues, Brentley. I'm sorry, but I want to keep winning.
There you go.
But it's always good to have the good head-to-head matchups. And talking about another head-to-head matchup, let's head over to the Arizona Cardinals and Cleveland Browns. The Browns host the Cardinals in a big interconference game today in Cleveland. The Browns are 3.5-point favorites. And right now we're looking at this total, which is 48.5. The Arizona Cardinals will enter this game without head coach Cliff Kingsbury as he tested positive for COVID-19, sending prayers up. Cardinals quarterbacks coach Cam Turner and defensive lineman Zach Allen also tested positive for COVID and will also miss today's game. Arizona remains the lone undefeated team in the NFL at 5-0. The Browns are 3-2 with their losses coming by a combined 9 points. Can they win today? Let's start with you on this one, Jamie.
I like the under here. This total's actually dropped 4 points since the line initially came out, but it's still like the under. It's going to be a very, very windy day in Cleveland. Let's talk about sustained winds north of 20 miles an hour, gusts into the 30s throughout the entire game, which could really limit the passing offense. You have two quarterbacks that are a little bit banged up right now as well. No Nick Chubb for Cleveland. Kareem Hunt's a little bit banged up as well, as is Chase Edmonds. So there's a lot of little injuries that are going on. The weather doesn't look like it's going to be particularly conducive to a high-scoring game, particularly through the air. So I think this is going to be a really exciting matchup that kind of gets hampered a little bit by the weather. So give me the under here. I bet you both teams are staying in the low 20s in this matchup.
Yeah, windy games can make for great football, but scary for quarterbacks. Let's go over to you, Brentley, for your pick.
I'm taking the Browns here in the points. I think a lot what Jamie just mentioned really goes into my pick. The weather's not going to be conducive to a high-scoring affair. There's not going to be a ton of pass yards, through the air. Kyler Murray's dealing with a shoulder injury, and he didn't look good against the 49ers. I know they won that game, but if you guys watch that, the Niners outplayed them on all three phases of the game. I know they got the win, and it's wins and loss league, but they were not impressive. And again, look, I know the Cardinals are 5-0. But am I supposed to wake up Monday morning with the Arizona Cardinals, Cliff Kingsbury's led Arizona Cardinals to be 6-0? I just can't see it. I really can't. The Browns, their two losses have came on the road against the Chiefs and the Chargers. And as you mentioned, Kelsey, a combined 9 points. They had a very real chance to be 5-0 themselves. I think the Browns, their rushing attack, their defense, their head coach are all significantly better than the Arizona Cardinals. So give me the Browns here at home covering 3.5.
What can Brown do for you? I like it, Brentley. All right, so for my pick, this is one of the bigger matchups of Week 6. PointsBet right now is getting two-way action on this game. Over 60% of the tickets are backing the Cardinals, while close to 70% of the money is on the Browns. The under has cashed in 10 of the Cardinals' 12 road games, so I'm taking under 48.5 for my pick for this game. It's going to be a good one for sure, but hopefully the weather lets football be great. And let's head to another matchup happening back over my way. Just less than a week after Lamar Jackson broke a list of records in a Monday Night Football spectacle, he's set to take on the red-hot Los Angeles Chargers at the bank. The Ravens welcome the Chargers to Baltimore. Baltimore is a 3-point favorite. The total is 51.5. All eyes are on Baltimore receiving corps as the Ravens now officially have their 2021 top draft pick at their disposal, and Rashad Bateman, who has been activated from IR and is eligible to make his NFL debut. Let's start with you on this one, Brentley. Believing in Baltimore and Lamar Jackson to continue this high, or going over to the Chargers?
It's tough because for the folks at home, you might be able to see my Charger helmet, Justin Herbert, go Ducks. But I'm going with the Ravens at home here, and it's nothing against the Chargers. They've been playing outstanding football. Brandon Staley looks like a star, but I think the way they are winning isn't sustainable. They're converting 87% of their fourth down attempts, which is absolutely nuts. They're converting over 50% of third down conversions, which again is absolutely nuts. So they're in these situations in which I think there's going to be some regression. They're not going to be moving the chains as much as they have been in recent weeks. Also with the Chargers, they are very banged up on defense. No Drew Tranquill, no Kenneth Murray, no Justin Jones, no Nasir Adderley. So Tranquill and Murray specifically, those two are athletic, rangy, fast linebackers who could really do some damage defending the run against Lamar Jackson. They're all out. So the Chargers defense already is one of the worst teams in the league at stopping the run. Meanwhile, the Ravens are one of the best running football teams in all football. I think that is going to be the difference here. I think the Ravens are going to be able to run the football, slow the game down, keep the ball out of Herbert's hands, and let Lamar Jackson go to work. So give me the Ravens here at home. It's going to be a great game, but I think under a field goal, I like the Ravens.
All right. Thank you, Brentley. And like you said, staying true to the running game is something Baltimore does. I'm kind of mad this is a 1 p.m. game. Like, I feel like this needed to be prime time. Jamie, let's go over to you for your pick for this one.
So right now the total in this game is the second highest, but I actually believe this will be the highest scoring game of Week 6. And I'm going to take the Chargers team total over 24.5. Right now, they're averaging 28.4 points per game this year. Baltimore's allowing almost 24 points per game. But I think a lot of the reasons that Brentley just outlined are why I like this. The Ravens are going to be able to put up points in this matchup. They're going to be able to run it very consistently. Lamar Jackson looks like an absolute stud right now, like he normally does. And the Chargers are going to have to throw to keep up. And Justin Herbert right now looks amazing. What was the phrase that somebody used this week? He can throw a strawberry through a spaceship or something? Like, it was some Battleship. There it was, like some weird scouted quote there. But he is playing at such a high level right now that I think this Chargers offense is going to need to throw constantly to stay competitive in this game. And that bodes well for their point total. They've crossed this threshold 3 games in a row and in 5 of their last 8.
All great points, J-Man. And that has to be like the highest compliment as a quarterback to hear that another defensive coach is saying you can throw a strawberry through a battleship. When I just think about that in person, it's amazing, all right? But for my pick for this game, look, we've been talking about it. You could argue that Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson are playing better than all of the other quarterbacks in this league. The look-ahead line on this game had the Ravens as 5.5-point favorites, but the public does love the Chargers. PointsBet is reporting that over 80% of the money and handle backed the road team. So this is a perfect spot to fade the trendy dog. Give me Ravens at -2.5 for my pick for this matchup in this game. I'm looking forward to this one. This might be my favorite game of the week thus far. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Jamie, Brentley, and I gave our thoughts on some of today's top NFL games. Remember these picks as we're going to the leaderboard later. Coming up, we'll be bringing up the prop bet wheel. It's coming back to you all. You don't want to miss any player props. Stay tuned.
Yeah, so I bet the Browns -3. And the windy conditions forecasted in this game is really going to benefit the Browns, who have played in severe wind games 3 times last season. And they're the far superior team running the ball. The Browns are averaging 2 more yards per rushing play than their opponent, which is the best in the NFL. Arizona, on the other hand, in that category, 30th in the NFL. Kyler Murray might have a right shoulder issue, and the Cardinals will be missing their star center, Rodney Hudson, against a Browns defense that leads the NFL in pressure rate. Baker Mayfield, he's been the most pressure-sensitive quarterback, arguably in the entire league, but it shouldn't be as big of an issue this week against a Cardinals defense that's missing their star pass rusher in Chandler Jones. The Browns are in the better situational spot as a 3-2 team that needs a game like blood against an undefeated Cardinals team. And the weather conditions are going to greatly benefit Cleveland in this one. You said a lot of the handicaps for why I like the Browns apply to the under. The Browns are a run-first team, which means that the clock's going to be ticking in this one. And if you remember last year, Kyler Murray, when he had a banged-up right shoulder, he was pretty average during those games. And the Cardinals last week only scored 17 points in a game where Murray was getting his right shoulder looked at. And the Browns, 3 wind impacted games last year resulted in 17, 22, and 29 points. I expect another low scoring game in this one. Yeah, so one of my big regrets from last week was not playing the Browns in the Chargers game over. And one of my handicaps was the fact that you have 2 analytically driven, super aggressive play callers where a lot of these field goal attempts and punts are going to turn into touchdowns because of how aggressive these coaches are. And, this week I'm not hesitating backing the over on 2 of the most aggressive decision-making teams in the NFL. The Ravens' offense this year, it's been far more pass heavy. They're passing at an 8% higher rate than they were last season. And Lamar Jackson's responded. And the Chargers defense, remember, they gave up last week a huge game to Baker Mayfield, and they're one of the worst run defense teams in the NFL going against this Baltimore rushing attack. So I think the Baltimore is going to have success running and throwing. And Justin Herbert, what else is there to say? He's been playing out of his mind for the Chargers. And this Ravens, once vaunted pass defense, they've had a lot of secondary injuries, and in turn, they're 27th in the league right now in yards per attempt allowed. So I think the Chargers offense is going to stay hot. Baltimore stays hot. Over 51.5.
Hello and welcome back to the Money Down presented by BetPrep right here on the Draft Network's YouTube channel. Jamie Eisner, Brittany Wiseman, and me, Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Fellas, it's that time for the Wheel of Props. But before we get to spin the wheel, let's make sure our viewing audience understands the process of how it works. The wheel contains 32 NFL logos. Whatever team logo it lands on, it will be a player prop, all right, from that team. We're going to put 60 seconds on the clock for you both. And with that, let's get started. All right, we're spinning the wheel. We're spinning the wheel. Big money, big money, big money. It looks like we're first going to Chicago. Up and doing it with quarterback Justin Fields, over under 60.5 rushing yards.
I can start here, Jamie. So I'm going over for Justin Fields, this prop. Look, the Chicago Bears backfield is dismantled. Dave Montgomery is out with a leg injury. Damian Williams, the backup, out with COVID. So now the Bears are going to be relying on rookie Khalil Herbert for the rushing attack. I think this is the week where Matt Nagy finally allows Fields to use his legs to help the ground game.
We'll see, but it hasn't happened so far. So he hasn't hit this total in any of his 3 starts. He's averaging only 8.5 rushing yards per game in those 3 starts. I think we're all kind of waiting for this to happen, but I'm not sure I feel comfortable betting on it on a hunch. Well, you'll see in the next commercial break, or we've already seen on the Draft Network's YouTube channel, this is a bet that Brad Feinberg of Bet Prep likes as well as you do. He likes the over. It kind of has that same feeling of this is kind of the week where they're going to unleash him. I'm just not going to bet on it till I see it.
All right, fellas. So both great arguments, but I'm also believing this will be the week that he's unleashed. So give me the over. And it looks like, Brittany, we're in cahoots right now for that first
Let's
pick
go.
of Justin Fields. Justin, don't disappoint us, all right? Make sure you make us look good on game day. All right, fellas, are we ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Let's spin the wheel. We are spinning the wheel, spinning the wheel, spinning the wheel, and we are heading over to the Washington football team. We're looking at running back Antonio Gibson, over under.
I'll take this one, Brentley, here. I'm going to go over, and I know so far this year he's only averaging exactly 2 catches per game, but as we talked about when we previewed this game, there's going to be some points because Patrick Mahomes is going to put up points. That means Taylor Heinicke is going to have to throw a lot. He's going to be scrambling around. He's going to be looking for options. And I think this is the game where Antonio Gibson gets a little bit more involved in the pass game. We have seen him clear this total quite frequently at times last year. Like his total used to be set about 3.5 for every single week. I think this is the week on Washington trying just to keep up with that Chiefs offense gets him more involved.
Yeah, I'm going under here. I think he's dealing with a shin injury, so he's clearly not going to be 100%. And then Scott Turner, offensive coordinator for the football team, has been prone to use J.D. McKissick in obvious passing situations. He's out targeted Antonio Gibson. He has more receptions than Antonio Gibson. So I think with him being banged up, I think McKissick is the feature back for the receptions from Taylor Heinicke.
All right, fellas, you guys both made good points, but on this one, I'm going to have to go with Jamie. Give me the over. I think Antonio Gibson knows a lot more will be on his shoulders this week with the Chiefs coming to town. So injury or not, I'm expecting him to show up big in this game. Let's go over to our next one. Let's bring the wheel back so we can spin it. Spin the wheel, spin the wheel, spin the wheel, spin the wheel, spin the wheel. Up, and it looks like we're going right down the highway over to Baltimore and looking at none other than electric quarterback Lamar Jackson, over under.
I'm going over here, Jamie. I'm going over. This is right around his season average. I think he's averaging 68.5 rushing yards per game. Look, in these big-time games where it's, facing the Chiefs, where it's facing, the Colts or something like that, where it's top of the best of the best, these are the games Lamar Jackson says, you know what, screw it. I'm putting the team on my back. I'm going to use my legs. I'm going to get the job done. I think he gets over 100 yards today against the Chargers.
Ooh. Wow, that's bold. And for those of you that are on there, the total right now is 69.5, small typo in the bottom part of the screen. I'm going to go under here. He hasn't hit this total in his last 3 games. As you mentioned, he's averaging close to this, but not quite this. He's averaging about 68.3 rushing yards per game. And to me, I actually think they might be able to run the ball more traditionally, more successfully this week. I think Latavius Murray could have a nice game as well. So I think they're actually going to not have to rely on Lamar Jackson's legs quite as much as they've had to in some of these games where he does get 100-plus yards on the ground.
All right, pressure's on me for this one. I'm taking the over. So on this one, I'm agreeing with Brentley. I think it's just an amazing week right now for Lamar Jackson. Just got announced that his jersey will be retired at the University of Louisville. I feel like he's going to be riding on that high. He's like, all right, all eyes on me. And he's showing that everybody, not bad for a running back. So I'm counting on Lamar Jackson to come up big in this game. All right, you all, let's go back to the wheel and spin it for our next pick. We're spinning, we're spinning, we're spinning. And it looks like we are going to land up on the Cincinnati Bengals, and we're looking at T. Higgins over under.
So I'm going to be a complete hypocrite from what I said in the Justin Fields segment and discuss just a feeling here. Higgins is averaging 7.3 targets per game, going up against a banged up and bad Detroit secondary. I know this is not what he's averaging. He's only crossed his total in 1 of his 3 games. Got close in the first game of the year. I just feel a big game is coming for him. It's the right matchup. He's getting the right workload. He's a little bit healthier now than he was last week. So this is a close one for me, but I'm actually thinking it's going to be a nice game for both Jamar Chase and T. Higgins in this matchup.
Yeah, you mentioned it. I'm going to the under here, and it's really because he's averaging 30 yards per game this season. That's significantly lower than this prop. Jamar Chase is coming into his own, and he's really making me look smart having him as my number 2 overall player in the country that draft. But back to Higgins, I just don't think there's going to be enough volume for him to hit this prop. I think they run the ball a lot against the Lions, keep this game in control. So give me the under.
All right, both great arguments. And Brentley, you always look smart, all right? But for this one, I am going to take T. Higgins. I'm going to take the overs. I'm going with Jamie on this one. So it looks like we're tied right now.
Overs.
It looks like I'm feeling just overs right now, you all. I don't know. I guess I'm on an over high. That's what I'll call it. But let's go back to spin the wheel for this last player prop. We're spinning. And it looks like we're landing on up. We've got the Los Angeles Rams looking at another quarterback in Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, Jamie, I'm going the under here, and this might come as a little bit of a surprise to many people just because the Giants' pass defense isn't really great, but he's only gone over the over for this prop twice this season, and that's really because Vegas expects a lot from this passing offense, but he hasn't hit it, that often. I also think this is the week where McVay truly tries to establish the run. He knows if they're going to have success in the playoffs, they need a strong running game. I think that starts today.
But see, here's the thing. I'm going to go over here, and I want Kelsey to join me here. Let's go all over. It's just complete sweep here. This is 31 yards under his season average, which is kind of interesting. I look, they might not have to throw it a bunch to beat the Giants, but I think they can and that they will. This is one of those ones where while he hasn't gone over this bet a lot, over this particular yardage total, he's hit in 3 of the 5 games so far this year. I could easily see him getting 300 yards in this matchup, and the only thing that would prevent it would be their offense just deciding to run the ball more.
And I think you just talk about that prevent part that I'm worried about, Jamie. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to take the under in this one. All right, it's the first under.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Jamie. But I'm going with Brentley on this one. It's going to be fun to see next week's leaderboard to see how we all fared out. And to everyone tuning in, it's always nice to put Jamie and Brentley head to head, and I get a chance to chime in and kind of be that tiebreaker. But don't go anywhere. We'll return with the NFL Bet Prep Breakdown. Stay tuned.
I'm joined once again by Bet Prep's player prop sharp Brad Feinberg here to go over. We've got 10 solid player prop bets for you for week 6 in the NFL. Brad, let's get right into it. Let's start with, you got a whole host of Green Bay Packers here. The Packers versus the Bears. I'm here in Chicago. This is the talk of the week. I can see Soldier Field from where I'm sitting right now. Yeah. This is the hype. You've got 4 different bets here, so I want you to go over them.
I think I have 5 different bets, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see. 1, 2, no. 5 in the game. That's right. 4 in the Packers, 5 in the game here. So let's start on the Bears side of things. Then we'll get into a whole host of Packers bets. Justin Fields here. You like the over on his rushing total. Is this the week we start to see more involved in that aspect?
Well, look, this is, I'm going to tell you something, Jimmy. Almost all the bets you see me put in, I'm always doing my research on Bet Prep, giving you pure math. Here's why this is a good play. The numbers say long term, this is why I know I have this odds in my favor. This bet, I don't have any math because actually he's 0-3 to this over, Jamie. But here's the thing. And I give Matt Nagy credit that he's been able to turn Justin Fields into a version of Ben Roethlisberger and me. It's amazing. It's the ineptitude of the coach, but he doesn't play to the guy's strength. He refuses to let the guy run, but I just find it hard to believe a guy that runs a 4.40 that's just an amazing, incredible athlete can't get 13 rushing yards in a game. Just by accident, the pocket breaks down in one play. I see guys like Mahomes and Hurts were way slower than him. Josh Allen, way slower than him, getting yards way more than this. Again, as much as Nagy continues to try to hold him back, and I give Nagy credit, he's done an amazing job making him just a zero. But I still think that he'll be able to find a way to get 13 rushing yards just because he's such a great athlete. This is me maybe being a little bit stubborn, though. And maybe Nagy's that good at holding him back.
Well, let's move on to the Packers side of things. Let's group these. Let's talk about the 2 running backs first because we got to see a lot of work for A.J. Dillon last week. You like A.J. Dillon over and Aaron Jones under. So what are the 2 bets you're looking at here for the Green Bay running backs?
Well, A.J. Dillon, his last 2 games, Jamie, look, he's had 8 and 15 carries. And the coach actually said after the game, LaFleur said, we really need to get A.J. Dillon even more involved. This is after him having 8 and 15 carries the last 2 weeks. So to me, again, when you watch the games, I actually think Dillon's a good player. Not that Aaron Jones isn't, he certainly is. But to me, 26.5 is just too light. He's had 81 and 30 his last 2 games. I think, again, I'm going to go a little bit what the coach said and LaFleur said. We're going to get him more involved. I think 26.5 is too light. I would have made this probably about 9 yards higher, to be honest.
And then on the Aaron Jones side, if it means more work for A.J. Dillon, means maybe a little less volume for Aaron Jones. That's why you're leaning towards the under here on rushing attempts.
Well, Jamie, that's exactly right. Obviously, these two are somewhat correlated. Now, of course, A.J. and Dillon could have 1 carry for 27 yards, and Aaron Jones has 30 carries for 100, right? That could happen. But my point being is they are somewhat correlated, because if Dillon goes over, it probably means he's getting, 8, 9, 10 carries, right? Which means less carries for Aaron Jones, of course. Look, I like this bet for multiple reasons. First of all, we talked about the coach saying specifically he wants to get Dillon more involved, which means that we're going to see a little bit less of Jones just because of, they're not going to play both at the same time. Now, here's the thing I also like about it, Jamie. His last 16 games, his full 16-game season, okay, 12 times he's gone under 15.5 attempts, and only 4 times has he gone over. So this has been a 75% winning bet before any of this A.J. Dillon news even came out. And look, and I looked at it, he's averaged about 13.5 carries over that time frame. I just think this is about, honestly, 1 to 2 carries too heavy of a number. I would have made it probably 13.5 in my honest opinion.
All right, let's move on to the passing game here. And we talked about one of these types of bets last week where you're laying heavy juice here, but there's a mathematical advantage that you believe that is in place here. There's Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I believe that's sitting at minus 190 right now. So is this one? Tell the listeners again who maybe didn't join us last week why you might be attracted to a bet with this kind of juice.
Well, I'm very attracted to it. Listen, Jamie, last week we laid minus 180. I'll gladly have made minus 190 here. And look, Jamie, as long as they keep making this 1.5, you're going to see my ugly face up here every week talking about why I like this over, because he's 23 and 3, Jamie, his last 26 games, the over. Let me say that again, 23 and 3. Now, am I saying I think this is a 90% winning bet, which it's been over the past basically almost 2 years? No. But I think it's certainly at least conservatively a 70% winning bet, which translates to minus 230, minus 235 area. And I'm saying conservatively. I think Rodgers at this point in his career is showing that this team likes to pass, even when the 3-yard line, the 2-yard line. LaFleur likes to pass the ball, and that's what they like to do. Now, again, not a crazy high total in this one. Bears certainly, had a great defensive effort last week. So that would be maybe the little pause for concern is that, it's not like a shootout game versus, let's say, a Dallas or the Chargers or, the Chiefs, a game like that where Green Bay's going to score their 4 touchdowns. Not that kind of game, but I'll still want to lay minus 190 on a guy who's 23-3, so that's 26.
Welcome back to the Money Down, airing live on the Draft Network's YouTube channel, presented by BetPrep. And soon we will be joined by our special guest, Patrick Everson of Props US, in conjunction with BetPrep for the BetPrep breakdown. But first, we'd like to do a quick check-in on our game across the pond. And as we are looking at these games in London right now, Miami Dolphins are holding on to a 20-17 lead over the Jacksonville Jaguars. We know Jacksonville is looking for their first win of the season, and Miami, look, they have Tua Tagovailoa back, and they're hoping to get the win. So it should be interesting, right, fellas? Who will get this win in this one? All right, so now that we are looking at that game, we're now going to head over to Patrick, joining us from a place that I think all of us would want to be, in Las Vegas. So let's bring on now Patrick Everson of Props US in conjunction with BetPrep. Patrick, hey, how are you today? I hope you can hear me okay.
I got you, Kelsey. I apologize. Sunday mornings are such a train wreck, and I ran out the door without my earbuds today. But I got you okay. So hopefully we can spin through this all right. I'll be leaning in.
Awesome, Patrick. I'll lean in with you if I need to, Patrick. So not a problem at all. Let's go to our first game. We're looking at the Green Bay Packers taking on the Chicago Bears. Patrick, is the public showing any love to the Chicago Bears?
Not a whole lot of love to the Chicago Bears. Definitely like the Packers. Packers, very public team every week. And at BetMGM Nevada, tickets are 4-1 money, 3-1 Packers on the spread. And at BetMGM Nevada and actually BetMGM nationwide, the whole national picture with BetMGM, it's, the Packers are in all the parlays, moneyline parlays, teasers and such, probably more so the parlays and moneyline parlays. And honestly, with where that game is at, along with a couple of others, the book is somehow in these early kickoffs, they're going to need an outright upset of either the Packers, the Chiefs, or the Rams. They're going to need one of those three to lose. And I'm not sure they're going to get any of those three. And if they all three cover, that could be the start of a really long day for the books and a really great day for bettors.
I was going to say, wouldn't that be something? All right, Patrick, let's head to our next game. We're looking at the Dallas Cowboys taking on the New England Patriots. We know Dallas is 5-0 against the spread on the face. Are people betting on them today in New England?
Yeah, definitely. The public is absolutely on the Cowboys in this game. Again, BetMGM Nevada, so the view from up and down the strip, and BetMGM has like a dozen books up and down the strip. So it's a pretty broad perspective, but it's by no means is it the national perspective. However, I assume you can bank on the Cowboys getting money nationally from the public at every book, BetMGM and everywhere else. In discussing this with Scott Shelton, money was running about, let's see, first off, Cowboys 3.5, 4, 3.5, maybe on the way up. Tickets 6-1 in favor of Cowboys, money 2-1 on the Cowboys. The Patriots did see some sharp play at +4 and +3.5, but Scott said the public is just overwhelming the sharps on the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, again, they're in all the parlays, and the money line parlays and so forth. The parlay play on Dallas is just a ton. And so as I was explaining it with regard to that, with regard to these early games, the Rams game, the Packers, especially, and the Chiefs, if those three do well this morning, they're all going to run into Dallas this afternoon, which is going to make things really interesting.
I'll say that much more interesting, which we like to see, Patrick. And let's head over to our next game. The Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Denver Broncos. Patrick, where are people going with the total in this game?
With the total in this game, that's a good question. I've got spread stuff in front of me. Don't have total right in front of me, but I mean, I can say obviously it's a bit of a disjointed game with the Raiders situation over the past week, and obviously John Gruden resigning. So I mean, I do know. Interestingly, I thought the spread was going up in this game. The total, I don't have as much info on right now, but look, the Broncos have not had the greatest of offense of late. They were playing pretty well to the over until last week, a little bit of a higher scoring game last week. So I think the tilt might be under if you're playing it sharply, but the public likes to bet the over, favoring an over in all these games. Maybe not this one so much as others because this isn't one of the high-profile games today.
Right. I mean, so many great high-profile games today. And let's go over to our last one, Patrick. The Los Angeles Rams taking on the New York Giants. Are the New York Football Giants getting any love from the bettors?
Well, they're getting love from the sharp bettors, that's for sure. This line opened 10.5 at BetMGM. Rams 10.5. It's got all the way down to 7.5 this morning. And BetMGM Vice President of Trading Jason Scott said, "I can't work out the love for the Giants. He can't figure it out." But he said there's plenty of sharps taking the plus points, and that's what's driving this number down. But the tickets and money are definitely on the Rams here. And again, parlays, moneyline parlays, teasers all running to the Rams. So even though this line's come down 3 points, run 3 points toward the Giants, they are absolutely going to need the Giants in this game. And they would love somehow for the Giants to pull the outright upset. That would be awesome for the folks behind the counter. Obviously, the folks on our side of the counter, definitely rooting for the Rams here to get things done to not only win, but cover that spread.
Yeah, lots of eyes will also be on that game. Patrick, as always, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll let you get back to all of the great action, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Fantastic. Thanks for your patience on this. Appreciate it, Kelsey. Have a good day.
Of course, you too, Patrick. Thanks again so much to Patrick Everson for joining us. Coming up next, we will have our Go for Two picks and this week's bold bet. So stay tuned because more of the Money Down presented by Draft Network is next.
You can be a phenomenal thrower of the ball, but if you can't execute your offense, that complicates things.
Paige DeMacos here with Kyle Krabs to talk about one of the more strange situations in the draft community that I can remember. And Kyle, that is the one Spencer Rattler, quarterback, or should I say former starting quarterback of the Oklahoma Sooners. This was the second time around we've seen him benched in a Texas game, right? This happened last year, but this time around it was different.
All right, welcome back everyone to the Money. Welcome back to the Money Down, where it's now time to see our leaders after 5 weeks of football action, and here we are. So I'm excited to see the leaderboard, especially now that you're back, Jamie. All right, fellas. So are we ready to see it?
No,
A little nervous.
Actually, I don't know.
We'll see.
I am excited. Maybe.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
my
let's
gosh.
go.
I'm not as excited.
All right.
Oh,
I
Brentley
just
got a
got
winner.
King, you all get my crown.
Let's go.
And Brentley, you're on the positive. Look at us, Brentley. We
That's
did
what-
well. I don't know, Jamie. We like you, Jamie, a lot. We love you, but we did better when you weren't here, Jamie.
I am loving it.
Just leave.
I'm loving it, Jamie. We're gonna get you back on the positive. The leaderboard just makes me feel good. After the show, driving over to Burger King, getting my Burger King. I hope they do the kids meal crown still. And I'm gonna wear that crown proudly all this NFL Sundays. If you see me in the DMV area, know why I'm wearing my crown today. Feeling good on top of that leaderboard. And so now, since we have some more time, let's prepare to share our Go for Two picks and our bold bets. And let's see, you all, what these ones will be. So starting with this one, Jamie, I'm going to start with you on this one because I want you to come back. I'm feeling good. The positive energy, the positive chai is in the air, Jamie. Let's hear your first Go for Two pick.
My first one is going to be Michael Pittman Jr. over 58.5 yards. This line is just quite frankly too low. He's averaging 8.6 targets per game this year with almost 74 yards per game. He's gone over in each of his last 4 games of this total. I'm just surprised that it is this low. I know Brentley's nodding there. He likes it as well. We talked about this bet before the show. I am more than happy to put double units on this one.
All right, the double units on that one. Brentley, let's see which one you're going to put the double units on for your first Go for Two pick.
Yeah, I'm going a little out of the box here, and this could be considered a bold bet, which we'll do in a little bit, but I'm going Kareem Hunt over 2 touchdowns, 2 total touchdowns. I think I get plus 300 odds. I mean, it's really, to me, it's a huge bet in terms of the upside, and I need it because I've been so struggling all this year, so I need those bets to really get me back. But look, no Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt's going to be the focal point of this offense. Not just running, but receiving as well. That's an area where I think he's highly underrated. No Jarvis Landry. I think in the red zone, look for Hunt to be a factor both on the ground and in the air. The Cardinals are allowing 90 yards per game on the ground, which is 29th in the league. So he'll be able to move the ball. I like Hunt getting in the end zone at least 2 times.
All right, Brentley. Well, hopefully Kareem Hunt can help you on your hunt to continue to climb up the leaderboard rankings. And so for my first Go for Two pick, I'm heading over to talk about the Rams. Right now I have the Rams at -8 because for my Go for Two pick, look, the Giants, they're just bad at home. I'm sorry, New York. Don't come for my mentions, all right? It's just facts. They are 4-11 against the spread in their last 15 home games. So give me the Rams on the road. I'm feeling confident in it, you all. Look, putting the double units on that one. All right, let's go to our second set of Go for Two picks. So on this one, Brentley, let's start with you.
Yeah, and it's going to be a bet we already talked about, but I'm taking the Ravens again, -2.5. I just think the rushing attack for the Ravens will be too much for the Chargers. The Chargers are going on the road, cross country on a 1 p.m. kick, 10 o'clock really West Coast time. So they're going to be tired, might be a little sluggish coming off a game last week, which went down to the wire against the Browns. And again, I love the Chargers. I love Justin Herbert, obviously, but Lamar Jackson is the MVP through 5 games, and I think he's going to do too much with this banged-up Charger defense for them to hold on. So Again, give me the Ravens here at home covering. Might be a field goal. It's going to be a good game. But ultimately, I think the Ravens get it done.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, and expect the bank to be loud today. So many fans leaving early for that one. And Brentley, I'm curious, you have Lamar as your top pick for MVP right now?
I do. I think what he's being asked to do week in and week out, both on the ground, through the air, no other player is being asked to do that. So give me Lamar for the MVP.
Yeah, Lamar's he's unreal. I mean, every week we say that, and then he does something else that's unreal. It just makes it hard for the rest of us normal people. Jamie, let's go to your second go for 2 pick.
Well, let's stick with the Ravens here. I'm going to go over Marquise Brown's yardage of 62.5. He's averaging nearly 30 yards per game more than this. He's gone over this total in 4 or 5. And the only game he didn't was the game he had the dropsies, where he was wide open a number of plays, should have had over 100 in that game. I expect him to have no, the Chargers are a tough matchup. They have limited quarterbacks, even going back to last year. This is not an easy matchup, but I truly trust the Lamar-Marquise Brown connection. Brown looks like a different player this year than he has the last couple of years. I expect a big game from him.
All right, so we're calling him Hollywood today, it sounds like, Jamie. He's living up to that name once again against the Chargers. And I don't know, maybe you need to put this message to Bart Scott, Jamie. I don't know if you all saw the little beef back and forth with Marquise Brown and Bart Scott, but it looks like
Bart Scott needs to get out of here.
Yeah.
Bart Scott's like,
It was nice getting to think about Bart
building.
Scott for the first time in 7 years, so that was nice.
Jeez.
And look, Marquise, just focus on the game, play your game. I'm also expecting him to have a good game. And look, I think all of us were in cahoots because I'm also talking about the Ravens for my go for 2 pick. Brentley, me and you are on the same wavelength. Ravens -2.5. And I think you said it all. But look, they have Lamar. I think that's all you have to say. The players are saying it. When you've got number 8 on your side, I mean, that's all. Point blank, period, drops Mike, because that's just how electric he is. And again, the Ravens at home, they love to protect home. Again, the fans will be out, expected to be another sellout crowd. You will hear the fans on that broadcast. So looking forward to this game. And again, why for the life of me, this is an early game, I don't know. But it should be a great game in Baltimore. We have a lot of fans coming here, you know, with the Washington game being here and the Baltimore game being here. So this is why I'm staying inside, because I do not feel like being in traffic. But all right, let's now head over to our bold picks. Jamie, we will start with you on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with this a little bit of a narrative pick here, but we sometimes see teams when they make a coaching change for one reason or another start to rally around themselves and rally around them as a team and rally around the new coach. I'm going to take the Raiders money line here. I like Denver, but I don't think the disparity between these two teams is significant. So I'm getting, $1.70 to 1 on these odds. I would not be surprised if the Raiders motivate themselves in that locker room. They rally around each other. And maybe we get some new wrinkles this week. I haven't been thrilled with some of the things that this team has done, particularly offensively. Even though the numbers look good, they haven't been very creative. I want to see if they have a couple tricks up their sleeve in this matchup against Denver right now. I think Derek Carr has a big game. Josh Jacobs is another week healthier. Maybe we can see another breakout game from Henry Ruggs. I'm just a gut feeling here. With these odds at plus 170, give me the Raiders on the money line as a bold bet.
Oh, the Raiders on the money line for the bold bet. And that is a big bold bet, because I know, obviously, as we all know, the Raiders just have a lot going on right now with their football team, but hopefully they can bounce back this week and come out stronger. Let's head over to you, Brentley, for your bold bet for this week.
For the listeners at home, me and Jamie did not talk before we gave our picks, but we have the same pick this week for our bold bet, and it's really for all the reasons Jamie just mentioned. What we always see when a team makes a coaching change in season, at least for the first couple of weeks, the team plays inspired. They rally around their new head coach and really, play really good football. I think that happens today. Rich Bisaccia is a great leader, as Mayock mentioned. He's going to have this team fired up. Derek Carr is built for this moment in terms of rallying around the locker room, getting these guys ready to go. And as Jamie mentioned, I don't think Denver and the Raiders are that far apart talent-wise. I'd actually make the argument the Raiders have more talent on their roster. They have a better quarterback. They have better running backs. The defense has been pretty equal this year with Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue really getting after the quarterback. So I like the Raiders here playing inspired football. And again, this is a bold bet. Like, Denver is supposed to win this game. But being bold, getting plus odds, give me the Raiders money line.
All right, Raiders with the money line. So obviously I missed that conference call because my bold bet this week is different from the both of your bold bets. And this one, look, we called it a bold bet. So give me the Lions on the money line. Yes, I said it.
Okay.
Yes, it's a bold bet. All right. It's for some, I don't know. Maybe it's not that bold. I guess
You just need-
Detroit fan, but I missed.
You just need
Go ahead,
Lions
Jamie.
plus 3.5. Just get Lions
There
plus
we go.
3.5. Find like an alternate line, and you'll be golden. So you give yourself
There we
that
go.
last second heartbreaking field goal insurance.
Exactly. Look, and we can't have any more hearts broken in the city of Detroit. All right. So yes, give me the Lions to win outright today versus the Bengals. Again, this is a bold bet. Take a screenshot, you all, because this should be a good one. I know we have a couple minutes left, so I guess we can touch on Monday Night Football briefly. I think this is going to be a fun one. We've got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Tennessee Titans. I don't know if you guys saw that video that was full of Buffalo Bills fans heading on down to Nashville. I was like, I would have hated to be on that airplane and have to hear Bills Mafia chants all day, right? Like, I don't know if I could have done it, you all.
Yeah, and I hate to be on that Tennessee defense. Like, that Tennessee defense has been really struggling this year. Josh Allen is hot. We haven't seen that breakout game from Stephon Diggs this year. This looks like the right matchup for that to happen. I don't know if it's going to be a really exciting time for the home fans down there in Nashville, but I think Bills Mafia is going to represent and have a nice night there on Monday Night Football.
I completely agree. I mean, like, really, the Titans, they are what they've been for the past couple of years. Derrick Henry or bust. You know, he's either going to get 160 or 3 touchdowns, or they're going to lose. And the Bills' defense has been stingy against the run. The Tennessee Titans secondary is terrible. Stephon Diggs is going to feast. I think the Bills are going to roll the Titans. It's going to be one of the more boring Monday Night Football games, unfortunately. But Bills Mafia, shout out Joe Marino. He's going to be pretty happy. So I got the Bills in the
Kelsey,
blowout.
One more point before you wrap it up. For those that are either deep fantasy football players or potential player prop options, keep an eye on Jeremy McNichols because he's a guy that is playing a lot of passing downs. When the game script gets negative for Tennessee, which it could be early and often, he sees a lot of the field and sees even with Derrick Henry on the field, he sees time about 30% of the time when Derrick Henry comes off. So that is a player prop bet to watch and a deep sleeper for PPR league. You should also keep an eye on for Monday Night Football.
See, this is why you watch the show. We help you all out. Thank you for that, Jamie. And that will do it for this week's episode of The Money Down. We appreciate all of you for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. The NFL Money Down Show presented by BetPrep will be here each and every Sunday morning through the rest of the NFL season with me, Jamie, and Brentley at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time. And also on Saturday mornings, check out the Money Down College Show ahead of college football. See you all next show. Bye, guys.